welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, January 10th, 2025. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. In response to the 2025 budget estimates presentation, Opposition Leader Dr. Godwin Friday noted that there were numerous instances of neglect, inaccuracies, and incoherence between the estimates document.
And there are far too many of them to be mere inadvertent errors, Madam Speaker, or oversight. They result either from a deliberate, and I don't wish to say that as the first explanation, but it's a possibility, or from a don't care attitude to the preparation of the estimates. The Minister himself has indicated and had the courtesy to explain to us that there are certain changes being made here today. And it seems like we have to essentially continue to await the latest update on the preparation of this document. We must take the document as presented and respond to the issues it raises for us. The observations, however, that it's a large document that may not entice ordinary citizens to peruse it with some degree of enthusiasm is not an invitation, Madam Speaker, for us to, or for those who are preparing it, to be anything but thorough and diligent in doing so. You can't just not include required information or put in inaccurate information in the hope that no one will notice, because it's such a large and complex document.
Dr. Friday acknowledged that while the 2025 budget is the largest ever, he expects significant self-praise during its presentation on Monday. He also pointed out that given its size, there will likely be heightened expectations for the budget to deliver substantial value to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. However, he expressed concern that the budget may face the same challenges as previous ones, balancing the figures without truly adding up in terms of meaningful impact.
We have, as the Minister has pointed out, it's a deficit budget with an overall deficit, from my calculations, of over $240 million, $247 million. And we have to ask ourselves, Madam Speaker, as we do from year to year, how, in God's name, are we going to, the government, is the Minister, going to implement all the plans that he has in this budget outlined meticulously, line by line, when it is quite clear that there is the recurring problem that we have from year to year of no real clear evidence as to where all the money coming from. And of course, we refer to the category of other receipts, which the Minister mentioned again, and in his usual way in passing, mentions it, and without breaking it down like he did with so many of the other things that he mentioned here, the debt or borrowings from various institutions, and he would say, well, this is what it's for, the money came here, and we're going to spend it on this and so forth, or this is how much money we're getting from these various institutions, and where we're putting it. But other receipts, as important as it is as a figure in the estimates, is just treated almost as by the by, nothing of great importance.
In the early hours today, around 3 a.m., Parliament approved the estimates of revenue on expenditure for 2025, presented by Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez. In wrapping up the 2025 budget estimates presentation, the Finance Minister said that the budget prioritized recovery efforts following the devastation caused by Hurricane Beryl. Gonzalez, who responded to opposition queries during their budget presentations, acknowledged that issues such as crime are also important. However, he stated that the destruction caused by Hurricane Beryl had to take precedence in terms of the government's immediate focus and resources.
And this budget and these estimates are crafted through that prism, first and foremost, to address the challenge of the impact of Hurricane Beryl on this country, on this country's economy, on the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and on how we rebound and rebuild and build back better than ever before. That is what the first prism of analysis of these estimates are.
Regarding the increased national debt, which the opposition has raised concerns about, the finance minister explained that the higher debt levels are necessary. He pointed out that natural disasters frequently push the country into debt, but they also create a need for substantial recovery and rebuilding efforts. Gonzalez added that the support from the increased debt was essential not only for the people who are directly affected by disasters, but also for the country's long-term development.
The budget contains $60-odd million for the construction of houses, 31 million of which is a loan from the Saudi Fund for Development. We could take that out too. We could take that out too. Because you see the debt. Now I understand the problem of debt. I understand the importance of fiscal responsibility. But don't give it to me in the air. You tell me you've read the budget from cover to cover, chapter and verse. Tell me, advise, advance your policy. We do not believe in any additional debt, therefore, cut the hospital, cut the port, cut the road, cut the school, cut the houses. Budget balance, so cut the income support, budget balance one time, surplus generated. Easy. Easy. But in the wake of this disaster, the Prime Minister said, we know the times and we acted accordingly.
The 2025 budget presentation will take place on Monday, January 13th, following the ceremonial session, which is expected to begin at 3 p.m. The government of St. Vincent and Grenadines remains steadfast in its efforts to reduce national energy consumption. This was stated by Minister with responsibility for energy, Benava Brown, during Thursday's parliamentary session. She was responding to a question from opposition leader Dr. Godwin Friday, who inquired whether there is a plan to rely primarily on available renewable energy sources such as solar power. Brown highlighted that on a global scale, St. Vincent and the Grenadines can be considered a minor contributor to greenhouse gas emissions with a contribution of less than 0.00%. She further noted that the country is not new to renewable energy sources. Hydro plants have been operational on the island for decades and have been a critical component of the nation's energy mix. The minister also pointed out that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has a relatively low demand for energy due to its small size and lack of significant industrial activity. She cited that the peak energy demand for 2024 was projected to reach 24.7 megawatts, marking the largest demand figure ever recorded.
In terms of the actual numbers, the distribution of the energy mix for St. Vincent and Grenadines is approximately 85% fossil fuel, 11.8% hydro, and 3.2% solar. If we are to disaggregate that and just look at St. Vincent and the Grenadines, or St. Vincent alone, Madam Speaker, we are 83.7% fossil fuel, 12.9 hydro, and 3.4% solar, Madam Speaker. Through the Energy Unit, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is steadfast in the pursuit of reducing national energy consumption through energy efficiency interventions while increasing renewable energy resources, Madam Speaker. One such initiative happened in 2017 to 2018, where various external agencies supported the Energy Unit in data gathering, analysis, consultations, to which develop a comprehensive document to plan our path forward, our energy path forward, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, back then in 2017, this plan was developed using an inclusive process that allowed stakeholders to have their voices and their concerns heard in the development of the plan. from that work, or the result of that work, came out what was considered to be the best energy options for St. Vincent as well as the Grenadines. 2 best energy options were developed for St. Vincent, and these included energy efficiency, storage, solar, hydro, wind, or energy efficiency, storage, hydro, solar, geothermal, and wind. While for the Grenadines, the best options were energy efficiency, storage, and solar.
Brown also revealed that the energy unit is actively collaborating with USAID Energy Sector Reform Project to update the National Energy Policy and Action Plan, which will further guide the country's energy strategy.
This collaboration ensures that we stay at the forefront of new and innovative renewable technology solutions and strategies. The energy unit is also working with the World Bank to update our Electricity Supply Act of 1973, which will improve our energy security, our energy efficiency, environmental sustainability, amongst other things. Similarly, Madam Speaker, VINLEC has been involved in various initiatives to increase the use of renewable energy, in particular solar. These have included, but are not limited to, the replacing of the old solar farm at Lomans Bay in 2025, which should double the output of renewable energy. The VINLEC is also pursuing or investigating the development of a solar farm in Argyle, which it plans, if it does happen, it plans to be implemented 2026 to 2027. VINLEC is also seeking opportunities to re-establish the solar farms that were on both Myro and Union Island and were severely damaged by the passage of Hurricane Beryl. Madam Speaker, the government's commitment, or this government's commitment to renewable energy, is further highlighted by our inclusion of solar generation systems in new projects, including the Argyle International Airport, the Port Modernization Project, and the Modern Hospital at Annisville, just to name a few, Madam Speaker.
In response to the question about the obstacles preventing SVG from transitioning to solar energy as a primary source, Brown emphasized that the island faces a unique set of challenges. As a frontline state in the battle against climate change, the country is already grappling with the impacts of global warming, which complicates efforts to move towards renewable energy sources.
Our energy infrastructure is highly vulnerable to natural disasters such as hurricane, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, and leading to high supply disruption and increase in energy risks. Hurricane Beryl, which struck the islands on the 1st of July, is a clear example of this, Madam Speaker. Transitioning to solar as our main source of energy has its drawbacks. I've been given 10 points, or I've been advised of 10 points, these drawbacks. These includes the reliability, storage challenges, space requirements, initial costs, maintenance, durability, economic impacts, grid integration, environmental impact, equity and access, cultural consideration. Madam Speaker, the analysis carried out by the experts in the field also suggests that St. Vincent and the Grenadines' path to sustainable energy is also based on a mixture of fuel and renewable energy sources, including solar, wind, and geothermal technologies. Research and development in the energy sector will ultimately develop what is, or will ultimately determine what is the perfect mix for renewable energy in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
In other local news now, we hear that the new lawyer for the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, the ECSC, officially opened today across the Eastern Caribbean. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, an ecumenical church service was held to mark the opening of the 2025 law term, following which lawyers led by High Court Judge or Leadership Bernie Stevenson marched to the High Court in Kingstown. In a virtual conference to mark the occasion, Chief Justice of the ECSC, Sir Mario Michaud, outlined the plans for 2025, including new training programs for youth who find themselves before the courts.
Commenced is the opportunities to advance and support youth for success, OASIS. which project was developed through the ECSE's partnership with the OECS Commission and the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The project is aimed at transforming the youth justice system by providing pathways for diversion, rehabilitation, and reintegration of children and youth in conflict with the law. The project also emphasizes strengthening data systems to guide decision-making and enhance case management for these youth. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court is eager to fulfill the mandate of this project within its 2-year duration. To do so, the court needs and intends to focus on the introduction of criminal mediation and the continued support of the expansion of the family division across our 6 member states.
The Chief Justice also highlighted mediation as a key focus for the coming year. He explained that mediation will play a pivotal role in reducing the backlog of cases before the courts by encouraging alternative dispute resolution. He believes the court system will become more efficient and accessible for all.
We are of the view that the extension of the practice of mediation to our criminal courts is certain to alleviate the persistent case backlog, as it has done for civil matters. By implementing criminal mediation, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court aspires to do the following. 1. Reduce court dockets by sentencing guidelines by supporting initiatives aimed at reducing prison overcrowding, particularly in relation to youth offenders who should not be placed alongside adult offenders. And 3. Utilize criminal mediation as a diversionary measure by offering child and youth offenders reformative strategies without the lasting repercussions of a criminal.
As part of the ECSC's public education initiative, the Chief Justice is expected to visit St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College later this year. The visit will form part of an outreach program aimed at educating youth about the law and the court system within the OECS region. St. Vincent and the Grenadines lawyer Jamali John was also scheduled to speak during the Zoom conference. However, due to time constraints, he was unable to present his remarks. Meanwhile, at the ecumenical service this morning at the Methodist Church, Reverend Silbert Prescott, who delivered the sermon, reminded the lawyers and police officers present of the importance of being impartial when serving justice. Reverend Prescott referenced the biblical parable of the widow who went before the judge, emphasizing that those involved in dispensing justice should follow the moral lessons found in the Bible. He stressed the importance of fairness and integrity in the justice system.
Indeed, friends, justice is an intrinsic need for all humanity and a fundamental part of a stable society. In this regard, I invite us to explore this problem as I draw out what I consider to be 2 key principles in building a stable society by upholding justice. The 2 points that I wish to invite us to reflect on this morning is justice must be impartial and justice must be free from coercive influence. Justice must be impartial and justice must be free from coercive or coercive influences. Firstly, justice must be impartial. The widow in this parable is a powerful symbol of the marginalized, or those that are marginalized in society. She represents those without wealth, influence, or connections.
Reverend Prescott also urged those responsible for administering justice to treat everyone as equals regardless of their status, background, or circumstances. He called on legal professionals to ensure that justice is served without bias, fostering trust in the judicial system.
Offers an opportunity for us to reflect on our practice. Do we often
that the Beckway Inclusive Education Initiative, which was implemented over 2 years ago, has been hailed a success, establishing inclusion as the norm at both the Beckway Anglican Primary School and the Beckway Community High School. This was stated by Minister of Education Curtis King in response to a question from opposition leader and MP for the Northern Grenadines, Dr. Godwin Friday, regarding the status of the project and the government's plans for its future. Minister King noted that the project initially began with 6 students from the Sunshine School for Children with Special Needs. Since then, it has seen significant progress, with all but one of those students successfully transitioning from the Sunshine School to the Beckway Anglican Primary School, where they had remained enrolled in the school system.
In terms of the academic progress noted thus far, students who entered grade 3 and 5 are now in grade 4 and 6. The 3 grade 6 students, they have been registered for the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment examinations, which will take place in May of this year. Where the school officials are concerned, they have reported that these students have made significant academic progress and are keeping pace with their classmates. That's very significant indeed. In terms of their social and behavioral development, we observe positive social interaction and behavioral improvements among the participating students. Teachers now have access to a website filled with educational resources, which were, the website itself was compiled by the Brock University out of Canada. In terms of the use of the resources, the laptops, iPads, projectors, and other educational materials provided by the project remain functional and are actively utilized by teachers and students.
Minister King highlighted that due to the positive outcomes of the Beckway Inclusive Education Project, the initiative has now led to what is being referred to as expanded inclusion. This refers to the Beckway Anglican Primary School's decision to enroll additional students with disabilities, thus further broadening the scope of inclusive education on the island.
These students are benefiting from enhanced teaching strategies developed during the initiative. In terms of the professional development that emerged from the project, teachers have adopted more creative teaching methods and fostered a supportive community where they mentor each other. In terms of our plans going forward, the Ministry of Education will continue to monitor the project so that challenges can be addressed promptly and inclusions can be practiced in other institutions. The ministry will also work towards reviving and formalizing the parent support group. After the initial stage, we see a waning in the enthusiasm, and so we have to revise that parent group. But of great significance is the fact that we engage the services of an expert from Cuba, and our task basically was to assess the readiness and identify the resource requirements to move beyond a pilot stage of our inclusion program, our inclusive program. So the idea is that we are seeking to make inclusive education a national project.
Looking to the future, Minister King expressed hope that inclusive education would eventually be implemented island-wide. He further informed Parliament that after the first 3 months of the initiative, a Cuban expert who had been brought in to support the project submitted a report containing several recommendations which are currently under consideration by the government. And as St. Vincent and the Grenadines prepares to transition into the new digital OECS harmonized primary curriculum, the DOHPC, an educational symposium was held here today to mark the beginning of the micropiloting phase of the project. The symposium is designed to equip key stakeholders with initial knowledge and tools for the successful and effective implementation of the curriculum. Addressing the opening ceremony at the UWI Global Campus site, Chief Education Officer K. Martin Jacques told the participants, which included educators and other education stakeholders, that they are all in it together, emphasizing the importance of collaboration in the process. She further noted that effective communication is a critical factor in the successful rollout of the DOHPC, which aims to modernize and harmonize primary education across the region.
I must mention here the importance of teacher-teacher communication, teacher-principal communication, and especially teacher-school-parent communication. So we're all in this thing together. Open dialogue is an integral step towards rewarding outcomes. We remember that pertinent African proverb that says, takes a whole village to raise the child.
Martin Jacques also highlighted some challenges that are expected to arise during the implementation phase, pointing out that resistance to change could be one of the major hurdles. She explained that while the transition to a digital curriculum presents many opportunities for growth, the adoption of new methods and technologies may face some reluctance, especially among those accustomed to traditional teaching approaches. She urged all stakeholders to approach these challenges with patience, open-mindedness, and a commitment to ensuring that the benefits of the new curriculum reach every student.
Resistance to change, one of the major ones, so we have to think very carefully about this. We can expect this at all levels of stakeholder interface. Here, continued sensitization, effective use of media, and the stakeholder dialogue and collaboration are paramount. Other challenges include lack of resources, insufficient training with regard to newer teachers entering the system, and other obstacles. Our focus must therefore ever embrace and encourage flexibility in delivery to ensure relevance in a constantly changing world. We must embrace innovations in technology, pedagogy, and curriculum design, which can all enhance the teaching learning experience and promote better and, in some instances, phenomenal student outcomes.
The digital OECS harmonized primary curriculum, the DOHPC, is to be micropiloted in 15 primary schools across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The new curriculum is being developed under the OECS Program for Educational Advancement and Relevant Learning, the OECS PUL. Some of the benefits of the new curriculum are more emphasis on student engagement. It embraces advanced technologies and is more accessible to all. The new curriculum is expected to be implemented in all primary schools in September 2026.